What we'll be covering today is first time quality. What that is when you finish milling out your 80% lower, what you do to make it that better gun and not that average gun. First off, I want to apologize if anybody hears any banging. We have some people working on the building today. So let's go over the final steps of your milling for this, or some of your initial milling issues that you should cover. What we have here is a Machinist Vise. What you want to use this for is when you use the drill press. Don't use a handheld drill gun. We often get calls because people think the jig was off, but they use a hand drill and they're not perfectly straight because if they move or whatever, the hole is off. So why I recommend these vices, which you can pick up anywhere, like Lowe's, Ace, Home Depot, any of those locations. You want to put it in here and you want to start with your drilling first, not the upper part of the lower receiver. So when you do that, you want to make sure you got it snug, not too hard because it is plastic. And that makes sure that everything is solid, nothing's moving. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use a drill press like this, and you're going to set it up here, and you're going to line up your holes. You can lock it down with either bolts or use C-clamps. And this will guarantee that you get a straight hole. Your table is aligned to your drill bit. So after you finish drilling your holes, you'll start on the top. But just to let you know, all our P80 kits come with the drill bits. If you wish, you can get different ones, buy them at any hardware if you want something longer. But when you finish the holes, and why I say that is because if you finish the top before you finish the holes, that moving around can loosen up that jig. So always start with the holes and then move to the top, removing that 20% of material. Then, once you get that done, you're gonna get into putting in your rails. So once you get that out, you're gonna have everything done on that lower part that makes it officially a firearm. This here is one that I have completed. You have the rails in here. So this is where you get into that first time quality. What you're gonna need is a sanding block, some sandpaper. This is a 400 grit that I use. Some small files, which you can pick up for less than 20 bucks at any of the hardwares. And a nice Dremel tool for polishing. And if you have a bench polishing wheel, even better, but you'll still need this one for some parts inside the gun. What you're gonna need the Dremel for is this area where your trigger bar goes. You're gonna need to polish that polymer inside. And at the same time, you're gonna need to polish the trigger bar. Make sure that it's got a nice mirror on it so it's smooth, it's gliding, there's less friction. And that's gonna be one of the big issues that you're gonna have if you don't, is that friction that's gonna give you a little bit of a harder pull. So that's what this is good for with the Dremel. You can actually do the trigger bar on a polishing wheel. Now, what you're gonna use your block for is once you get your rails in there, you get that rear rail in there, you got your rear hole drilled in, don't put your trigger in yet. That's gonna go in last, but you're still gonna wanna put that pin to hold that rail down, get this rail in there. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your block wet, your sanding block, and you're gonna go back and forth to make sure those rails are completely aligned. One thing you can do too, once you've got your system done, you got some sticky issues, is you can use one of two things, or if you can find something else. This is a lapping compound. I use this for blueprinting rifles and pistols. This actually comes from Napa, your auto parts store. This is a valve grinding compound. What I do is I go and I stick it here on the inside of the rail, the slide. Put a little bit here on the rails, and I reassemble it, and I just work it. And that helps to make sure you get any little burrs out of there, things out of there. So that is one way of doing it. Another way is after you've finished your milling, is use that sandpaper, get in there, clean up those edges. Any burrs, any little pieces sticking out will prevent a smooth operation. That's where also your small files come in. You can get in there, get off those burrs. So if you have any questions, please email us at sales@ormond.arms, and we're always here to help with anybody with their builds, with any tips and information they may need.